right, what's up, Tampa? It is April 10th. For those of you just joining us, welcome to Tampa Talk. I'm John.
And I'm Dahlia.
All right, what are we talking about?
Well, we've got some encouraging updates around housing in Tampa, a concerning story involving a local deputy, and a really interesting food access initiative in Progress Village, as well as a stacked weekend of events happening across the Bay. But first, this week in the work.
Yeah, let's talk about this week in the work. So we were talking right before we started recording, and I was like, I don't know what we were talking about for this week. But I think what we were talking about is both of us in various different conversations that we're constantly like leaning into things we don't know yet. We have so much to learn, but there's like a learning by doing that I think is what I heard as a theme in the conversation we were having. It's kind of like you're never quite there, but we're kind of like constantly like taking on like the next. We're growing into the things that we're.
Yeah. And I think we were talking, like, you know, for me, it's, I think back oftentimes to the first advice that kind of you gave me in this speech was like, don't be cognizant of like opportunities or distractions disguised as opportunities. And I think on the flip side of that too is like understanding what, or part of that statement is understanding when you have the capacity to grow and to learn when you don't have the capacity to do it, right? Like if somebody came to me and said, hey, I want you to do underwater welding, right? I'd be like, that's not me, right? That's just not something. I'm sure I could if I really put my mind to it,
Scary
but
stuff, yeah.
It's not something that I have the capacity or interest in growing into. Versus the really exciting thing about working in this space is the fact that people constantly are coming to you with opportunities, and you kind of get to decide to like lean into something that you might not fully understand at the moment of the opportunity being presented to you. But it's a way to be curious, to learn something new, to potentially implement something that's really powerful for the community. And it's interesting how many of those exciting things have come on our plate in the past couple of years.
Well, it is. And I think just by, you know, it's like, I don't know, they say like good work begets more work. And there's a way in which I think even the conversations that you and I were both talking about were with either large institutions or municipalities that we were invited into those conversations only to kind of, you know, you ever get to a table, you're like, why am I at this table?
Yeah.
But also I get why I was invited, but also like, man, I got to like do some homework to kind of be up to speed in this entirely. And yet it is cool because your reputation precedes you. And so you get invited into spaces that you're like, oh, I gotta keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep growing into this.
And I think it's not only confidence, but courage, right? Because it can be challenging to learn these things. And it's really easy to stay comfortable, right? To stay in your lane, to stay doing the things that you know how to do really well. And I think there's an aspect of, you know, you need to be brave in order to say, okay, I don't know this thing, but I'm going to work to excel in it, right?
Okay, wait. I love what you just said. And I want to like think about this. And a preacher would love this because they're all C's. But it takes courage to kind of step into something. It's easy to stay comfortable, to stay doing the thing you know. It takes courage to step into a place where you're less competent.
Yeah.
So where if you stay in the comfort place in a thing that I already know how to do, I can stay masterful in that, but I'm not as competent in this. And you don't want to go into that place and be overconfident in a place you're not competent, but it takes courage to show up, some humility to kind of be there, but a certain level of capacity to more C's, capacity and courage to kind of grow and learn and develop in that space. I actually love that. I feel like that's something I just want to puzzle over now. I feel like there's a metric there.
And like, I really think that comes back to the whole like meaningful work thing that we're striving towards,
really
right? Because if it's, like if you didn't feel like the school system, a lot of people criticize school. They say, "Oh, the school sucks," right? I hated school. I hated high school. I hated middle school, right? I didn't learn anything. A lot of people, right? Yeah. And it's because it's a structured way that you're presented with an opportunity to grow and to learn, and it doesn't work for some people. But I think what we miss is when we leave the school system, even the people that excelled in the school system, is we now have the responsibility to seek those opportunities. They're not always presented to you. And so oftentimes we reach a threshold to what we learn because we're not presented with new opportunities. We don't seek out opportunities because that's maybe the failure of the school system. It doesn't do a great job of teaching you to seek out those opportunities because they all land in your lap. And then people reach a ceiling. And I think what's really important in finding meaning in your work and finding purpose in what you do is either searching for those on your own to say, okay, how can I level up in this space in my work? Or if you're lucky enough that they're presented to you, and you can say, I want to do this thing. I want to learn this thing. I want to keep growing in this way. But that education, here's another C for you. You need to be curious, right? There's a curiosity that is involved in kind of figuring out those new things that you can learn.
I think this was a good This Week in the Work.
Let's
get into This Week in Tampa history.
Well, it takes us back to April 13th, 1886, when the first cigar was rolled in Ybor City.
And that happened at Sanchez y Haya Cigar Company on 7th Avenue. Kicked off what would become Tampa's defining industry for decades.
Yeah, so hand-rolled cigars quickly took off, and Tampa earned the nickname of Cigar City.
Over the next 30 years, more than 200 cigar factories popped up across the region, employing tens of thousands of people.
And at its peak, Tampa was producing more than 500 million cigars a year, with cigars being shipped all over the world.
It's wild to think how much that industry shaped and really the entire identity of our city to this day, and how many times stories we have shared that are related exactly to that industry and its history here.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. I mean, I'm very proud of it. I always bring cigars like home to Toronto when I go. Actually, we're doing our wedding favors are going to be cigars as like a little ode to Tampa.
Get some Tampa cigars?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay,
good. No, that's the whole point. Yeah, it's
like
gonna be a little ode to Tampa.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so first up in the news, really encouraging development around housing here in Tampa.
So Tampa Hope is adding 100 new Hope cottages, expanding its ability to serve individuals experiencing homelessness.
So to be clear, this is transitional housing. These are new cottages are a bit larger than the original. So there's about 70 square feet. So you guys will remember we reported on this. Some folks know there was like a kind of a tent city at Tampa Hope, and then they built these cottages. These newer ones are a little bit bigger and better. They include better insulation, interior wall panels, and improved HVAC system.
And with the expansion, Tampa Hope now has 215 cottages total, along with 116 tents, allowing them to house more than 350 people.
That's incredible. And that is well on the way to some of the goals that I know as we were speaking with them. These are like what they were getting. They're trying to hit that 400 number, I believe. And like they're creeping up on it quick. This has been a coordinated effort between the city, Tampa Hope, and the Tampa Police to help connect people with emergency shelter and services.
Next up, another story about a Hillsborough County deputy who was arrested after investigators found a tracking device placed on a victim's vehicle without consent.
A lot of cops and deputies under arrest in the news and last. So the deputy, Justin Thornsberry, is now facing multiple charges, including stalking and unlawful use of a tracking device.
And investigators say this stemmed from a personal relationship dispute.
Yeah, so this is my girl's cheating and I'm trying to track her. And I got this thing. I'm like, I get it. Yeah. He's been with the department for 7 years and is currently suspended without pay as investigation continues.
Yeah, tools that can be powerful. The next story is about a homegrown Hillsborough member, which is kind of cool.
Oh, in Progress Village, Grow My Giving is rethinking how food access works in a community that's long been considered a food desert.
It's called Foodtique, and instead of a traditional pantry, it's set up like a small grocery store.
It took me a minute to read that. Foodtique.
Yeah, like boutique.
Shelves are stocked with produce and pantry staples. Families actually sign up for 15-minute time slots to shop completely free.
Yeah, started by Tawanda Bradley, and her nonprofit is called Grow My Giving. The goal is about dignity, not just food access, and it's ultimately in a pretty bad food desert out down there in Progress Village.
So the design choice is interesting to make it feel more like a store instead of a line. I obviously we love this approach. This is the way we think about our own things as well. First of all, nobody on earth wants to be in a line of any sort, no matter what it's for. So avoid lines wherever, whenever possible, but also the freedom to come in and choose to shop. It's the way we set up our own markets. And so I feel a real kindredness in Tawana. I was like, oh, it's another free market. Yeah. I love it. I love that other people are doing it. I love that there's one in Progress Village where we have not been able to be. Super excited about it.
Yeah. So the Foodtique is open on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month if you want to go check it out.
Love it.
All right, so getting into events happening in Tampa this weekend, we have Gasparilla Music Festival taking place at Meridian Fields from 3 to 11 p.m., April 10th through 12th. Tickets are $75 for one day or $125 for all three. Some headliners include Mount Joy, Two Friends, and Gov't Mule. Also this weekend, the Tampa Bay Blues Festival is taking place over in St. Pete at Vinoy Park, Friday through Sunday from 12:30 to 10. Tickets are $80 for a day or $190 for the full weekend. And then the Sabor Cubano Fest is taking place at Al Lopez Park. Tickets are $10 for 11 to 7 p.m. And it's a celebration of Cuban food and culture, music, art, and community. And then finally, if you're into tech and innovation, Tampa Bay Tech Week is also happening April 10th and 11th. This is a multi-location, all-day event bringing together founders, investors, and talent from across the region, and tickets are $150. And then finally, you still have Keel Farms. Well, not finally, actually, I have a couple more events for you. But another one is Keel and Curly are having their Blueberry Festival taking place throughout the weekends of April from 10 to 3 with $10 for parking. And then Busch Gardens Food and Wine Festival is still going on through May 8th, which is included in park admission. And that's all that I have for you.
I love it. Well, also, like always, we will be out in the community later this morning. If you're hearing this on Friday morning, we will be at Harvest Hope Park from 10:30 to 11:30, sharing groceries with the Kinship Mobile Free Market. We'll also have a crew down at the Water Street Community Garden from 3 till 5 p.m. if you want to come get your hands dirty with us. That's what we have. We're super grateful for you guys listening. Please do comment, rate, share the show. Like always, you can TampaTalk.xyz goes straight to the video podcast link. It'll take you straight to the Spotify. And then also, if you want to get this straight into your inbox every Friday morning at 6 a.m. with a link that goes directly to the audio companion podcast, it is wordonthestreets.xyz to sign up and subscribe for that.
All right. Well, that's what we're talking about, everyone. And thank you again for joining us. Until next time.
Y'all be good.